In addition to good morning, it's happy Halloween. Today, I hope you're going to get only treats and no tricks as we celebrate the 60th anniversary of Ogden College of Science and Engineering. Yeah. We usually do that with the students. We train them so that every time we say Ogden College of Science and Engineering, yeah, they know to clap and cheer, and rightly so. I'm proud to say my name is David Brown. Well, I'm not proud to say that. My name is David Brown. I'm proud to say I'm the Dean of the Ogden College. But I am proud that we have commandeered this month and renamed it as Ogtober, as some of you noticed from the date on the slide. This has been our highlight month in our year of celebrating our 60th anniversary. Every Friday this month, we've had some activity that gets a group of the college together. The first Friday, we had C cubed, cookies, cupcakes, and coloring. Exactly. Students, faculty, and staff got together, nibbled on some treats, and colored. And we have some really talented colorists, I must say. It's a way of building the team. The second Friday, we had a meet and greet with the CEO of Casa Innovations, talking about future directions for moving our science, bringing it to markets, making it affect more people's lives. Third Wednesday, we tried to introduce our first annual scavenger hunt for students to form teams and dash from department to department. And now today is the big highlight event. We're calling it OgdenCon. It's our mini conference on Ogden. It's a day for us to celebrate our past, present, and future as a college community. We're so pleased to have all of you joining us for this special celebration. Today, as we look back and we look forward, many strands of the rich history of this college are being woven together into the fabric that makes up today's Ogden. And in this moment, we're each woven into that fabric that will become the tapestry that represents Ogden to the world. In the audience today, there are students, there are staff, there are faculty, there are alumni, there are friends of the college. But you're not just a group of people sitting idly listening to speakers. You are part of the picture. You are part of the fabric of Ogden. Today, you'll hear some of the stories that are woven together, but you will help us weave what is to come. We'll talk a lot about the past, we'll talk a lot about the present, and I want us to look toward the future. And as we do, I want you to think about, how are you woven into that tapestry? What part have you played, and what part will you play? Because today is a momentous event. We're celebrating 60 years since Ogden College was formed in its present state when WKU first became a university. What will people see in 60 years? In 100 years? What they see is being formed right now. You are in the focal plane of the future of Ogden College. Be proud of that, because we already have a proud history. We have a proud present day, and we're going to build a proud future. So with that, welcome again to OgdenCon. I'm so glad that you're here. Our first speaker today is going to be telling us about some recent developments, and he's going to be hinting at the future for Ogden College. Our speaker is Dr. Josh Durkee, who's a professor in our Department of Earth, Environmental, and Atmospheric Sciences. He's got some exciting things to tell us. Josh.
Thank you. All right, good morning. I'm really excited to tell this story about disaster science at WKU. It's a big story, and it's going to be a challenging one to tell in just 25 minutes, but I'll do my best here. So some of the questions that are being asked right now include, like with all the disasters in the state of Kentucky and in the region, what can we do as a state to be better prepared for disasters? Right now, we live in what we refer to as a perpetual state of response, and we're playing catch up to a lot of the bad things that are happening from a natural hazards perspective. And really, then what can WKU do to fit into that narrative? So we're having conversations at the state level, all the way down to local, and then up to national, with various applications with what WKU is doing, and what is the perspective that we bring from a disaster perspective, applications as part of our university. So, and I chose the title "Responding to the Call" because it was requested of us to put this program together, not just by WKU, but really by the needs from the state and from the industry. So my name's Dr. Josh Durkee. If you don't know me, if you're not familiar with me, I shape-shift into a lot of roles here at WKU. First and foremost, I'm a professor of meteorology in the Earth and Environmental and Atmospheric Sciences department. Serve as vice chair to that department. I serve as the university meteorologist to the university. So all weather-related decisions at the university come from my desk, but they start with our students studying meteorology, and a few other roles as well, such as director of the Disaster Science Operations Center, program coordinator for the Emergency Management Disaster Science Program, and a graduate coordinator for Homeland Security Sciences in the EMDS track. So we'll get to some of those things here in just a little bit. So if you're unaware, I'm also alumni. So this is homecoming for me as well. In a neat way, working at WKU is like a calling. When I graduated from grad school from the University of Georgia, where I did all my work, and I found the job ad yesterday when I was putting the presentation together. This is what it looked like. A chance to come back was presented to me, and I thought that was a chapter that I closed, and that was one that I wasn't going to even entertain. Had few interviews and offers all around, but what made WKU different was that this was a brand new program that they were trying to put on the table. And so I had the opportunity to come in and put my vision in place, and that was really attractive to me. I loved the idea of that opportunity. For some, that might be intimidating to come to a brand new program that might fail or might not succeed. But for me, I just felt, like I had this connection to the university already. I knew how to make it work if I came back and had that chance. So I did. So the meteorology program, it starts with the meteorology program. So the meteorology program was established on paper, I think 2007, and I was hired in 2008. And our program meets the federal requirement for applying as a federal meteorologist, as the highest standard for accreditation for students seeking employment with the federal government. And of course, with that, they can do a multitude of other things with that. So if you don't meet the so-called GS 1340 requirements, then the NOAA and the feds will essentially not even look at your application. So our program was designed around that requirement. And so here's a picture I found. It took me forever to find this picture, but this is a picture of me when I first arrived at WKU, going into the Met Lab and thinking, this place is really old. It needs work. You can see the telephone, the green telephone over there. And this is when we just got a couple new computers, and we were really excited to see put the radar systems in place. And that was about all the students we had around to come look at the 2 new computers we had in 2009, I believe. So the first thing I wanted to do was modernize the space, modernize the lab. And today, this is what it looks like. So we knocked down walls, put in modern technology, and we went from a lab that held like 8 or 10 people to now what holds around 30 or so. So a standard computer lab, but it's outfitted with all the same technology that the professional meteorologists use around the country and around the world. The next thing that was put together then was the idea of experiential learning, applied learning, something that WKU has really prided itself on this entire time. And it was another reason why I chose to work here, because that fits my style of student engagement and teaching and research and those types of things. So during my interview, I remember asking, is it possible if I develop a field course where I teach students wanting to be professional forecasters how to forecast severe weather by bringing them to severe weather situations? They're like, sure. And I had other institutions that were not so keen to that idea. And so that was attractive to me because that was something that I wanted to do. That was something I remember in grad school thinking that would be a really dream scenario to take the things that I like to do and make a class out of it. And so we did. Started it in 2010. It won a national award. And we've been running it ever since. And it's been quite successful. So here's some pictures of the students out in the field documenting storms. This is a map of everywhere the students have documented severe weather over the years. So quite impressive. People always ask, well, where do you go? And the answer is always where the severe weather is. As long as we stay in the country, and usually east of the Rockies and out of bad terrain, then we'll get there to document the storm. And we've done well. So these are just some of the scenes over the years of that the students have documented. So it's been it's important. It's cool. It's fun. But these are students that are trying to forecast these things for people in the real world to save lives. We had an alum come to my class to teach radar applications. And yesterday he was talking about how, his ability to analyze the radar and forecast storms in one example got people out of a mobile home in time into a public shelter, and they returned and their home was gone. So truly saving lives with learning the science of forecasting and all the technology. 2019, the president even joined us for a few days on the trip because he wanted to see firsthand, what is it like to do this kind of thing? What does applied learning look like from a meteorological perspective? So we put him in the van, and he got to see the forecasting and see everything in motion. In fact, in the bottom corner, the picture of the tornado is the one that he took, and he got there before I did. That was his first day out there, and he got the best pictures of the tornado that day. So I'm still jealous of that one, but put him in some really large hail and some interesting situations. But it was really neat for someone like of him and his schedule to take that time to join us. The next thing next to the meteorology lab was the College Heights weather station, which was a functioning weather station that got so old, we literally turned it into a museum before I got here. And that's what it looked like. And I saw the opportunity to revitalize that space. And I wanted to keep College Heights as the namesake. And so I turned it into the College Heights Atmospheric Observatory for Students. And we created a forecast lab for students to practice meteorology outside of the classroom. So playing on the moniker chaos, because chaos theory nonlinear physics is what messes up our forecast and makes us look bad all the time. So I thought it'd be clever to name the lab after that and give us our own challenge. So 2013 to current, this is what that space has been modernized to look like. Then we realized after about 3 or 4 years that we were spending so much time in this new chaos lab forecasting, but we were doing it for ourselves. There was no accountability to it. And we wanted to deliver it to the community, to the university, and have more accountability for the things that we were trying to do. So we created a campus weather service that we called White Squirrel Weather. And people always ask, why white squirrel? And if you're from around here, then you know it's because the white squirrels pretty much all live around the campus area. And so we thought that would also be a clever way to market the things that the students are doing with the forecasting and so forth. So we have weather stations on all the campus properties around the state, in some unique places like the football stadium, because we're interested in some of the challenging weather spaces. There are heat stress issues in the stands for some of the football games. The players have heat stress issues. And so we have sensors on the turf, under the turf, in the sun, in the shade. And we're constantly monitoring and using this for forecast applications to try to better understand how can we get ahead of heat stress, and of course, any type of lightning or severe weather issues that might impact operations for the game. So anytime, again, there is a weather-related decision for WKU, it starts with the students, because that's what we're training them to do. So we've designed White Squirrel Weather to be a hybrid of the National Weather Service and an emergency management office, mimicking those same roles and giving the students, empowering them with those decisions. And then that all gets vetted through me as the university meteorologist. And then I work with the university emergency manager, and then with the provost, and then we help make those final calls so that we have the most sound, intelligent decisions that formulate into delays and cancellations and things like that are pretty important. This is just a map showing where some of our stations are around the state, and even down in St. Croix and other places where we have partnered places, such as the Bourbon Trail. So these are what our Maker's Mark bourbon stations look like. It's really fun to do a site visit there. And we still haven't quite landed the site visit in St. Croix, but we're trying to figure it out. We need to get down there and make sure everything's working well. So it's really neat. So then in 2018, we wanted to mobilize what we're doing. And so we took the idea of Storm Chase, we took the Chaos Lab with the functionality of White Squirrel Weather, and we created a mobile weather lab, essentially. So this is the meteorology lab on wheels with the staffing of White Squirrel Weather. Has its own internet, all the computers are inside, and we can bring this to events. We usually set this up at the football games, or we've brought it to other schools and other events as well. And it's a nice outreach tool as well. Then in 2019, like I said, I was having conversations with some of our industry partners, and I asked them constantly, what is changing with your industry? What do you need our program to do so that you're going to hire them? What are our students and our programs missing that you're looking for? And they're like, well, we know you can't just put together an emergency management program overnight, but that's our dream. So that's what we did. We put it together seemingly overnight, and we launched the Emergency Management Disaster Science Certificate Program. So it's an online graduate program that is also baked in as a track of the Homeland Security Science program over in physics, and it's taken off. And what was intended to serve as a sort of a co-credentialing skill set for meteorologists has turned into a multidisciplinary applications in crisis management, leadership, and other forms of management across the university. So it's gone really well. The original classes, I think, had 15, and yesterday I just upped all the capacities to 40, and they're probably going to fill up again. So the interest in disaster science as a whole is started in 2019 with the certificate program. And then we had our own disaster. So in December 2021, right before graduation, fall semester, we were struck with 2 EF3 tornadoes, killed a number of people, lots of damages, a landmark weather event for Bowling Green. In the midst of us trying to, be cognizant of potential disasters in our area. Here we are living through it. So unfortunate, but also just a reminder of why we do what we do. And also during that time, we were in the middle of trying to build this. So we wanted to take the idea of emergency management and meteorology and operationalize that with, again, with operations, research to operations, and then traditional research. And so we created the Disaster Science Operations Center. It really was born out of a visit to Amazon with their GSOC, which is their Global Security Operations Center. And they asked us to essentially create a test bed for them for an operations unit that bakes in its own weather monitoring and prediction. And that's what we did. And it happened right during the pandemic and when we got hit by a tornado. So it really kind of slowed us down, but we eventually launched that fall of 21, and that's operational today. So this facility has a few different spaces within it. So we have a situational awareness space that's typical of any operations center. So multiple screens looking at all the potential things that might be going wrong or could go wrong. And it's staffed with undergrads and grads doing their work. In 2022, the Kentucky Association of Mitigation Managers gave us Project of the Year award, a state award for the launching of our center. In the room kind of next to the operations unit, we have the CoLab studio, which is essentially where we do communications testing. We have a podcast space back there. We have a video space. And we have what we just call our think tank and common space in the middle. For everyone to have a place to put ideas to the table. So like behind me in the table of the scene here is a big whiteboard where we just draft all of our ideas all the time. All the neat things happen at that table. It's a neat room to be in. And then across the hall, we also have our training classroom where we do forecast discussions. We can fit 30 students in here to do forecast briefings to start those same forecast discussions. Well, we originally with like 6 or 7 students in the chaos lab. Now we can fit 30 students into the classroom of DSOC to have those same types of conversations or do trainings or it's a multi-purpose space. So it's pretty neat. And then some of the things that we've been able to do and on the operational side is it all really started again with the Special Olympics. We got this invite to provide emergency planning and research and weather support for the Special Olympics USA Games at Disney World in 2022. That seems like 10 years ago, not 4. But that was birthed by fire. How many students did we take? 20,
We took
21?
I think we had 21 students, 2 grad students and 18 undergrad, something like that.
And then like 10 support staff with us. And we had to manage all the athletic events within like a 30-mile radius of Orlando in June. So lots of lightning, lots of heat, ESPN TV schedules, lots of nuance there that was in a COVID outbreak. But we did it. And when we got back from that, that was really like our aha moment that we can do a lot more than we thought we could. And so a lot of credit goes to that experience and the support of the university to help us get down there to have that experience and bring it back to the institution so that we could spread it around in other different ways. So this fella in the middle who I'm speaking with was a FEMA 5 director. He got assigned that appointment in the middle of Special Olympics, and he was so impressed with WKU and our students. He asked if we could take him to the airport because he had to leave in the middle with his new assignment. And on the way to the airport, he essentially said, "You guys are blowing me away. I can't believe how professional your students are." He said, "I've managed all the Chicago area, emergency management for years. Now I'm in charge of the whole region." He said, "I want you to meet some folks in Chicago because I think they could also use your help." And then a week later, or sometime a little bit later, we get a phone call, and the Chicago Marathon flies us up for a conversation. So this is just some scenes from, again, Special Olympics and showing. In fact, down here's John Bone right here, who now works for the National Weather Service College in Pennsylvania. But we go to the Chicago Marathon, and because they need weather help. And Chicago Marathon is a SEER 1 rated event, one of the largest and most prestigious marathons in the world. And they're asking WKU for weather help. And their words were, they said it this way, but it didn't mean it this way. But they were essentially saying, we don't really care about the other schools in Illinois or Southern Wisconsin. We know what works. So we're going to go with what works. And since then, since 2022, we have brought 10 students up to the Chicago Marathon, and we've done all their monitoring, all their forecasting. And we just got back from that event a couple weeks ago this year, and it's tremendous, which has also opened up all sorts of opportunities with that group up there. So here's just some scenes from the last couple years. And we've been doing some pioneering work with heat stress monitoring and prediction with the marathon, which is their top issue. So anyone that runs knows that heat and wind is a top issue. So these are our students building data sets that are changing the major marathon industry around the world as we speak. And then we've formulated a research group out of a partnership with Bank of America, Chicago Event Management, and Northwestern University. And now we're working on a number of papers and projects to try to investigate some of the things that we've collected over the years. So we asked our students this year. I started in 2008. We had this many majors, and now we have over 100 majors. Steady growth. And so we're asking them, we need to know, why are you coming to WKU? What is it about us, you passing? And roughly 40-50% of these students are from out of state as well. And they're coming here to join us. And when you look at sort of the survey from our group, almost 40% of them said it's because of the opportunity. They see the way we promote the things that we do. They see students going to Chicago Marathon and documenting tornadoes and doing all these exciting, immersive, experiential learning opportunities. And quite frankly, there's not other schools that can keep up with us on that right now. We've established this partnership and this growth in industry partnerships that are helping us bring students in to support their careers with training, supporting our programs with what we want to do, while returning it as a service learning model and a tangible service to them. And they come out with resumes that cannot be competed with. In fact, all right, I'm going to embarrass Luke here for a second. Stand up. So Luke is a graduate student, Homeland Security Science, a meteorology alum, technically homecoming for you too, even though you're still in the system. They shut down the hiring of the federal meteorologists recently, and then they opened it back up, and it is feast for famine. And these offices have, in some cases, John, over 200 applicants?
200 applications in our office alone, and Luke got an interview at our office.
Yeah, and Luke didn't just get an interview at your office. You got how many interviews this year?
I applied to 12 different offices, and over the past 3 weeks, I've had 7 interviews.
And so every time Luke goes through it, I'm like, get up here, I want to hear about it. And there's a theme that's been running through some of the feedback. What have they told you about?
Yes, so from the feedback that I've gotten from all of those interviews, one thing that stands out above the rest is my resume. The National Weather Service has shortened their resume requirements, so it has to be within 2 pages. And that was very difficult for me to do. Trying to fit everything that we've completed over the past 5 years of my time here into 2 pages was something that I found difficult, but something that everyone who I've talked to so far has said that above all else, my resume stands out above any applicant that they've received.
Yeah, and I also got a call from another office independently, and the call was to simply say this, like, what are you doing at WKU? Because in the applicant pool, here's the WKU students, and then here's everyone else. Because the WKU students are getting all of these professional experiences that no one else is getting. And so, again, it is through the center, through the field courses, and through all the things that we're able to do that is helping stack these resumes and build these students up for success, which is the whole reason, why we're here. So thank you. And the other thing too is reputation's getting out as well. It's not just we offer things. The word is out that we're good at what we do. We've gone through some external reviews recently, a lot of unsolicited sort of commentary about our programs, and some quotes that stand out in my mind are WKU is the hidden gem of meteorology and disaster science in the country right now. Sitting in a national meeting, and they asked WKU to stand up in the midst of the large crowd saying, go talk to them because they have it figured out. Try to never read our own press, but comments like that drive and motivate us to keep doing what we're doing. And the growth of our programs and the student success is everything we need to know. So that's why we're here. So our students are working at the Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center. I won't read through all of these, but essentially, county level jobs, national, federal jobs, private sector, and then across a spectrum of career placements. And along the way, some nice pieces of recognition and awards for some of the things that the students are doing. The Public Service Award from the National Weather Association for DSOC and Y-Squirrel Weather, and the Mitigation Project Year Award that I mentioned, and the Student Local Chapter of the Year Award, and the NOAA Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Excellence Award for the things that we're doing. So it's all there. We're supported by the evidence, by the things that we're doing. So what's the broader purpose then, as we sort of close this out? Weather affects everything. Disasters occur on all scales, and not all, but many of these disasters are connected to weather hazards. And so we're pulling it together and under this, I hate to say umbrella, but that's what we're going to say. But disaster science, and which allows us then to do these things. So it's broadened our student reach. It's not just even an Ogden thing anymore. It's across campus. It's broadened the spectrum of students. We've got students that are first gen to working professionals. The scope of the partnerships and the opportunities beyond just make sure you get your traditional internship. The thing I like to say is we are the internship. It's built into our system. The scope of our sectors, it's no longer just NOAA and National Weather Service. It's emergency management, it's sports, it's entertainment, it's urban, it's military, academic, and so many more. It's helped us modernize our facilities. So with the new labs and some spaces out at the innovation campus and in our department, modernize our professional roles, things like university meteorologists and vice chairs, things that are kind of non-traditional in a lot of places, but we prove that it works well here, and modernize our mindset for what we can achieve. So what's the future? What's the forecast? We received a grant internally here to help formulate what we call the Consortium of Disaster Science and Management. And through that, we're now developing academic partners that are commitments within WKU and industry partnerships, and using this as a way to educate and train our students at even higher levels for the future. And so pulling together and then operationalizing this through our center is changing the landscape for what we do with disaster sciences and what we do here in Ogden. So kind of spells it out here, but I can jump to a couple other things really fast. We received a 5-year NSF grant to look at things like weather hazards and disaster, various aspects of disasters across the state, in partnerships with many universities. And WKU is leading the weather hazards and disaster research in that project. So we're really excited by that effort. Dr. Singh, if you could just stand for half a second. Dr. Singh is our first dedicated hire for disaster science, and he's a computational expert in artificial intelligence, and so he's bringing a wealth of innovation to DSOC. And we spoke recently, and we now have, we're submitting a $2 million proposal today for an energy project. We've got, 8 or 10 proposals in the mix for research through DSOC. So we're really excited to have Dr. Singh help us out on the disaster science side. So thank you. And then And in closing, then we're targeting these new programs. So we just pushed through some paperwork for the new Bachelor's of Science in Disaster Science. We're retooling the Homeland Security Science program to now be an MS in Disaster Science, and with our sights set on the PhD and potential practical doctorate degree in disaster science. Our companion programs right now, there's others and more conversations happening, but the ones that are consistently in our realm: meteorology, public health, environmental science group, the group down there with KRS, organizational leadership, criminology, military science, and others. And so in our industries, SEER 1 through SEER 5 level events, basically national, federal operated events down to local. With professional and college sports, a lot of conversations with FIFA happening right now with the World Cup coming. World major marathons, concerts, and festivals. These guys down here just did some festivals, some of the premier festivals in Louisville, Louder Than Life, and they're asking us to come do Bourbon and Beyond, and now maybe Churchill Downs and other things in Louisville. Certainly all of our university events, construction and federal, and so forth. So I think I snuck it all in there with a minute to go or so. So any questions before I step off the stage?
I'd like to comment on the former chemistry department. I've taught 46 years here in chemistry, and you are doing exactly what is needed in this area.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right.
So that's such a wonderful story. Thank you, Josh. I can attest to the wonderful work that our students do. On my phone, I have the White Squirrel Weather app, and that's what warned me to get to shelter when I woke up in the middle of the night in December in 2021 and said, why is that train so loud? All right, just a block away, and it got me to shelter. Thank you. So our students are always doing a wonderful job. You've heard some of the examples, and now we're going to hear from students themselves who are going to talk to us about the Civil Engineering Society, and they're going to talk about, I believe, Concrete Canoe, and so I really look forward to hearing what they have to say. This is for the live stream.
Sorry, mine didn't get pretty quiet. Thank you all for being here. Dr. Durkee, I didn't realize how many commonalities we have. We're both alumni. We both deal a lot with students, which is the best part of our job. And it's one of my favorite parts, and we also wear a lot of hats, right? So one of my favorite parts is mentoring these students from start to finish. I have them a lot of times as freshmen, and then we get to join back as seniors with Concrete Canoe or some of the other senior projects. We go through, and Tyler sat down whenever he started, and I look back on my time at Western, and we had a community. When I came back as a faculty, a lot of things have changed. I had students, or I shouldn't say students, colleagues in my classes, and we only had about 8 students per class. I come back, we were running 40, 50 students per class. So a lot different program 10 years down the road. And Tyler and I sat down and we're like, what can we do to start building a community back to the way we had it back in my day? And we looked at that. We also have a lot of students. Why not be able to contribute to the community and get back in that area? That's what this presentation is. I didn't give these students a lot of information on what to go for. I wanted them to basically say what ASCE has meant to them. It's American Society of Civil Engineers. And this is their presentation. So I hope you all enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Emery Cates. I'm a junior at Western currently. I have done volunteer outreach for ASCE for the 2024 and 2025 year. And for our upcoming competitions, I am the Timber Strong Design Build co-captain.
My name's Evan Brittenham. I'm a WKU alum, just graduated in May. I was the student chapter president for the 2024 year and then the Concrete Canoe team captain for 2025.
My name is Kaya Gertz. I'm a junior in the CE program. I've been the industrial liaison for the entire calendar year, so I reach out to local companies to get them to come speak at our meetings and things like that. And then I'm also a co-captain this year with Emery for the Timber Strong Design Build team.
So just kind of want to introduce it. What is ASCE? It's basically just an organization for civil engineers with over 160,000 members and 416 student chapters. Every year for students, there are 10 regions of ASCE, and we all kind of compete in our regional competitions, and then the winners get to go to the national competition. So you may be wondering, what are these competitions? And if you guessed anything made of concrete, then you're probably close. We've made frisbees, cornhole boards, canoes, baseball bats, lawn darts, a ton of stuff. We've also got our surveying competition. We've got Timber Strong, as they mentioned, sustainable solutions, just a bunch of different projects to get students involved and kind of some hands-on learning. So at WKU, it was founded in 2007, and since then, we've gone to nationals for canoe 19 times, and 8 of those were a top 5 finish in the world. And then for our student chapter, we are a 6-time finalist for the Ridgeway Award, which is the first place award for any student chapter. So coming in as the president and team captain after all the success, we had a lot of momentum built up, and there was a lot of pressure. Felt like I had some big shoes to fill, but luckily I had good leadership and other alum that I was able to look up to. So for my part of the presentation, I just kind of want to share a few lessons that I learned through ASCE at WKU. So ASCE has taught me how to attain goals. It's taught me how to make set milestones and then make plans to get there. For our canoe, our first meeting, Jason kind of walked into the room. We're all sitting there, and he says, "Hey, we need you to elect team captains, then make goals for what you guys want to do this year." He left, went to his office to keep working. We're all kind of looking at each other like, "What's going on? What are we really doing?" After an awkward amount of time of just trying to decide who's doing what, we elected our positions, and then we came up with the 3 goals above. We wanted to finish top 3 in the nation. We wanted to do something innovative that Western hasn't done before with Concrete Canoe, and then we also wanted to have fun. Likewise, for our student chapter at the beginning of the year, our team got together and we made a whole list of goals, but some of my favorites here were to increase our community service, get underclassmen involved in the chapter, and then finish top 5 in the nation. And these are pretty ambitious goals. It's, like you said before, 416 student chapters. That's a lot of competition worldwide. So I just want to share a little bit how we worked on those goals throughout the year. So for the canoe, my lesson that I really learned was hard work will pay off. This kind of consisted of being in the lab every free moment for the better half of a year, testing concrete, finishing the canoe, just working on stuff like that, whether we're up in the student room working on the paper or even out of the lake on our paddle practices, because we actually do race boats against other teams. So Concrete Canoe was just a big project, had a lot of nuances. A lot of these other schools we're competing against had a lot more resources than us. Their teams were literally 5 times the size of ours. So in order to get that top 3 goal, we definitely had to work a lot harder to get there. And then for our student chapter, my lesson that I took away from that was that teamwork equals dream work. Part of the scoring for the student chapter is you have to have these different events, and there's a whole rubric on what you have to do. So there'd be some weeks we'd have like 4 or 5 different meetings a week, and that was super stressful trying to balance that on top of classwork, the canoe project, family, just life in general. So having a team that you can kind of rely on definitely helped along the way. So applying some of those to my career, definitely hard work and teamwork are 2 things that you want to kind of get practice at before going into the workforce. So a little bit of I guess, results, we actually did end up getting first place in the world for student chapter. And then we got third place. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And then we ended up getting third place in canoe at our national competition. So that was really cool and really fulfilling to say it out loud at the beginning and then kind of see it come to fruition. ASC also taught me to solve many problems. So like I said before, the rubric that we kind of got for the canoe is like 40 pages with different regulations like ASTMs and stuff like that on every single page. So every week we had a question, we had something go wrong. I always somehow managed to be on the critical path. So it was a lot of stress every week. Specifically for our mix design, we were trying a new way to develop concrete mixtures. We actually worked with a former alum in the Army Corps to kind of work on some of this stuff, but we ended up making like 60 or 70 different batches of concrete, all different. And it really hurts because we ended up using our 12th mix for the final result, and then the rest of them were just kind of proving that it works. So definitely trying to solve those problems. Again, just trying to take everything in stride one day at a time. ASC has also taught me creativity, and I really have no artistic inclination, but kind of going back to that previous point, sometimes you'll have one problem that you have to come up with like 20 different solutions just for one of them to maybe work. So it kind of taught me to think outside the box, kind of think, okay, what's been going on in Concrete Canoe judging? What did they like last year on our boat? What do they like my freshman year on the boat? What has WKU not done? Just kind of trying to see these things and think outside the box. And then even for student chapter, like how do we get underclassmen to come back to school after they've already left and they might even have like tests or something tomorrow? It was just a big struggle trying to think outside the box in those areas. And lastly, for me, ASC taught me to enjoy the moment. I don't have enough time today or space on the screen to really share all the good memories that I have of this group of people. Whenever I think back to college, I try not to remember all this cramming for the tests and late nights stressing over some of these projects. The only thing I can really remember are just the fun times that I had with all the people here. That Nutella picture, side note, is probably one of my favorites I've taken in my life. We were at a competition, was it Purdue Northwest? And we were like 30 minutes outside Chicago. So after the competition, we all kind of buckle up, drive over there, and they have a Nutella shop in Chicago. And I thought that was crazy. Like they have a 5-foot statue of it and little bottles with your name on it. It was just a great time. So if you ever get to go to Chicago, definitely stop there and try the pizza. It was great. But really stuff like this just kind of made my college career, and I truly enjoyed every moment of it.
I would have to agree with Evan that going through the pictures alone for this presentation, it was really difficult to pick some of our best memories because there is so much involvement with ASCE here, and it's been really amazing. And I can also attest for this year's Concrete Canoe team, I just help out with their paddling practices, but I'm really close with the captain, and they are striving to reach the same level, if not more innovation than last year's canoe is. So they have big goals, and they're doing really amazing so far. This is kind of more of the professional side of ASCE. So again, I'm the industrial liaison. I reach out to companies to come speak to us, and some of the companies that have come this 2025 year include Kirby Building Systems, Canon & Canon, NSafe, Gonzalez Companies, which is the company that I interned with over the summer, and then Stantec, Thoroughbred, and Morley are all coming this semester as well. We also work really closely with some of our local Bowling Green companies that are at a lot of our career fairs and IP dinners regularly. And we do have one career fair and one IP dinner per semester, roughly. So it really helps with getting students involved and with providing ample opportunities if their class schedules don't work out at one point, that everyone gets some time in the year to really figure out what they want to do, meet with companies. And it's just a really great structured program to set us up for the professional future. And then some of our conferences that we've attended, in February, we went to the Multi-Regional Leadership Conference in Memphis. And that's where we learn a lot of the information on our annual report. And the annual report is a long presentation that we make, basically a cumulative group of information about everything we've done for the year. And that's what wins us that Robert Ridgway Award, and what Evan worked really hard on for the past year. So we got a lot of information from that there. We got to meet a lot of other students from other regions, and it was a really great opportunity. And then the regional symposium for Indiana and Kentucky is where we compete our steel bridge, concrete canoe, and all those other fun competitions that Evan was discussing. And then we have our steel bridge competition and the civil engineering student championships. That's where we compete the national steel bridge and the national concrete canoe separately. And those respectively were in Iowa and then SLO, California. And that was a really, really, it was a great experience, especially because being the first year that we did Timber Strong this year, which I know Emery's going to touch on later, we got to see that competition there too, as well as surveying and some others. And being able to bring students with us that also weren't on the canoe team and that were able to see those other things, we're now able to set those goals of achieving more within our chapter beyond just canoe and bridge. So that was a really, really great trip. We had a lot of team bonding. That picture kind of in the middle right there is us doing the hike. There was also a hike at the national competition 2 years ago. So we always try and find just something fun and recreational to do, just to kind of get away from the professional side. And then the ASCE convention, which is a big one in Seattle, we sent a few students to, and that's where they got to see our new worldwide ASCE president come into office, and that's Marcia Anderson-Bomar. And they also got to receive our official Robert Widgway Award for first place there. So they had a really great time. That's them in the top corner up there. And it was just a really awesome opportunity. And then recently, just this past week, some of our ASCE women went with the Society of Women Engineers to New Orleans in Louisiana. And that was probably the biggest conference I've ever gone to. The career fair was absolutely insane. The opportunities were amazing. The entire city was very welcoming. They had welcome signs up for our convention pretty much everywhere. And it was just really, really great to get to see that many women come together in one place. That's all for this one. And then this is our more of our social fun side, because we do like to have fun outside of the classroom. It can get a little bit hard to kind of separate, because sometimes we have our fun nights are actually just like watching a movie and cramming for an exam, which I guess is not everybody's idea of fun. So we try to do some things that make freshmen and sophomores want to stay with us the entire time. So we started off the year or this semester, I guess, with a Guess That Professor game, just so the underclassmen could really get to know the professors a little more, and the upperclassmen maybe that didn't know the professors very well or didn't know them as well as they thought they did, got to learn a little bit more. And that's another thing about our program, is that all our professors really do get to know the undergrad students on a personal level so that they can help us develop our professional careers. And that's really rare among programs. And we're really, really appreciative of that overall. And then we have our Lake Day, which is the day where everyone's welcome to come. They're welcome to come over to Basil Griffin Park, see the canoe, get in it, kind of get a feel for it. And that's where we not necessarily pick our paddlers for concrete canoe, but where we kind of narrow it down and see who's all interested. And so that's how I originally got into paddling. And then I got to paddle with them last year, and I will get to again this year. So it's been really great to be involved, I guess, in the project that I know I'm going to be able to contribute to in the future. And then we also do trivia nights a lot, just whenever we need to fill time, de-stress. There's trivia nights at our regional competitions too, so we kind of throw a couple harder questions in there to prepare for that. And then Overtime is a place we go to a lot. It's just a local restaurant. They're really nice there. Yeah, it's just kind of a social hub for us overall. We played sand volleyball, which we've been trying to do for like over 2 years, I think, and it's rained every single time. So we were very, very happy that this last semester we were finally able to get sand volleyball in. We had a lot of fun with that. Concrete cornhole is again one of our competitions. So we have a whole bunch of fun little gadgets in our labs all the time that we get to take out and reuse at the meetings. So we don't just kind of throw them away after the competitions. And I think that's kind of overall for the social part of it.
So I'm going to go into the volunteer outreach. As I said, I do the community outreach for the club. I couldn't agree with Kaya and Evan more. It has been such a welcoming community and club. I remember freshman year coming to Western and thinking, those people are weird. All they do is spend time in the lab. All they do is spend time in the office. And now you'll find me there throughout the week. So that's been awesome. I'm going to start going into some of the frequent volunteer outreach events that we have. You can find us all around Bowling Green. We have the White Squirrel Festival. We have the Bowling Green Humane Society. We have elementary STEM nights. We do the Bunny Hop Trail, festivals like that. We have another Bowling Green Humane Society picture and the Ice Cream Social. If ASCE had a V, that would definitely represent us because we volunteer a lot. And that is another thing that really promoted us to get the Ridgeway Award. I know whenever we were in Lexington meeting with the ASCE Kentucky chapter, they made sure to point that out about our chapter. And that's something really special to us. Some more volunteer outreach we like is some historic home renovations, local litter trails cleanup. We like to do invasive removals at Lost River Cave. We do food drives, Habitat for Humanity, Lost River Cave trash cleanup, and more Bowling Green Humane Society. We really like the dogs over there. So another thing that I'm going to go into is some of the new paths that we have here. It is really thanks to our perfect mix that we have. But this time I'm not talking about our concrete mix. I'm talking about the team that we have at Western. Between our eager student body, our dedicated advisors, the sponsors and donors that we have, the alumni that we have, we are always able to do just about anything we put our minds to. There's never been a time I've gone to any of our advisors and they said, no, we don't have the resources. No, we don't have the money. We can't do that. They always push us to do everything and anything that we can. And that is so special to have at the school, just to be able to try what we like. Whenever I was a freshman at regionals, we saw the Timber Strong Design Build competition happening. And we were like, what's that? That looks really cool. And we came back, talked to advisors about it, and they said, great, let's do it next year. So I'll kind of explain what the Timber Strong Design Build competition is. It is a competition hosted by ASCE, so it is at the regionals and nationals each year. Basically, it is a competition challenging students to build a 2-story, sustainable and structurally sound building. So a lot of times, we're having to pull all this valuable coursework information, this valuable coursework we have. We're having to, spend late nights doing these calculations, or sometimes we even just spend late nights painting. And it has been really amazing to go through these experiences with my classmates and with our advisors, because this is seriously real world application. Just the structural analysis and the construction teamwork that we had to pull through to get to this was amazing to see and be a part of. We were able to come away with Best in Show at the 2025 regionals, and we are so excited to come back with more next year. So, yeah.
Thank you all for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Here's the last slide.
Would anyone like to ask a question? Good.
I'd like to know what each of your career plans are, or what you're doing after this. Or if you don't know, that's fine.
I guess I'll start. I don't have it set in stone yet, obviously, but my plan, I'm a double major in geology as well, and so I plan on going into geotechnical engineering, and so I'm searching for an internship more in that field this summer, but that's my brief plan so far, I guess.
I'm working here local at Scotty's Contracting, so concrete is basically a bad word over there, so it's kind of ironic, but doing a lot of the, doing a lot of the road models and stuff.
I've had experience in site design and transportation so far, so I plan to go into one of those paths after graduation.
Excellent. Were there any other questions?
I think they answered everything.
They answered. Well, I think they did a great job.
2000s. You know, you look at agriculture in the 2000s, there's a lot of innovations going on with precision agriculture. We have robotic milkers is the norm. We're now using AI and camera imaging to help look at weed control. We have a graduate students using AI and camera imaging to measure phenotypic characteristics that on our dairy cattle to hoping to help improve genetic selection, relating that. So it's pretty amazing technologies. Embryo transfer, we clone animals now. We're making impossible beef, okay? So you have all this technology, and then you have a sector of agriculture that's kind of against technology and want to be homesteading, and we want to not big agriculture, but we want to support small local farmers, and we don't like GMOs and so forth. So we have this competing faction in the ag world. Some think we're moving forward, some people may think we're stepping back, but we also have to deal with climate change and how agriculture is viewed with that. So lots of different issues now in agriculture. Other things, urban sprawl is a problem here in Bowling Green and many other places. We're going to have to start farming indoors, and that's going to take more energy. We still don't have a farm bill. We don't have a government right now, technically, so hopefully they can get that figured out. But we're looking at the world population. We're over 8 billion, but our corn yield's gone up to 187 bushel per acre, and our average U.S. farm size is almost approaching 500 acres. And so these are the chairs from 2000 to 2017. I didn't cut it off out of 5. I cut it off at 2017, and I'll tell you why here in just a little bit. But Dr. Britt again served in 2004. And then we had, if you don't know Jack, you don't know agriculture, Dr. Jack Rudolph from 2004 to 2014. And Dr. Linda Brown, that name might sound familiar. She is the niece of Dr. Leonard Brown, who was a chair. So we had an uncle and a niece as chair. She served as chair at our department until 2017. All right, so I called 2000 to 2017 kind of a time of perseverance for our department. We had all these different changes that's going on campus. At that time, President Ransdell was charged to reimagine campus, and we had lots of buildings all over campus. A lot of improvements to campus facilities. Again, we moved more towards research as well. But look at the names of the retirees that we had during this time. All those people that were hired in the 60s and 70s are now retired. And we also had some departures. So during the 2000 to 2017, we had 18 faculty members leave the department, whether it's from retiring or moving on to other universities. Hires, we had 7. I left off Dr. Fred DeGraves there. And so, you know, think about what departure we had versus what hires we had back. We did kind of lose a lot of capacity. But during that time, we added Roger Dennis, and we started forestry courses. We also had the USDA ARS unit here. And so, and we did some work with industrial hemp. So that was a different time change. We're struggling with moving from more research-focused time and filling in those spots from the retired faculty. All right, let's talk about the present. So in 2017, Dr. Fred DeGraves came on as chair and until 2023. But what happened in 2017, we had a new president come to campus, and this president had a little bit more knowledge about agriculture and valued agriculture. President Kiboni did, and one of the first stops that he did when he came to campus was tour the university farm. Another thing that happened in 2018, we established a director position, so it's a faculty appointment, so we got a faculty member back in charge of the university farm, and that helped with a lot of improvements out there and structure of the farm and its budgets. Also, if you notice, 2017 and to now, we've had more faculty being hired than we've had departures, so we're building back capacity. And also, we had two gentlemen come in that helped stabilize the university, Dean Brown and Provost Fisher. At the time between their arrival, we had a lot of interim people in those positions, and so having that consistency also helped out on not only the university level, but here at the department as well. So I'll close by saying this. I think ag is back on the climb back up. We have improvements in our enrollment and retention. But something that's I love to see now is I don't have to explain to anybody that, hey, we have a farm. Everybody on this campus knows we have a farm. Ag isn't an afterthought. Not only is it valued, it's celebrated. You can hear ag being taught at convocation. You can be hearing ag being taught at any meeting that we have here in the college. And, just as an example, tomorrow we're having a brunch, and President Caboni, Provost Fisher, and Dean Brown will be at our brunch to engage in alumni like they've been the last several years. And so not only is it valued, it's celebrated, which we in that department greatly appreciate. And we look forward to a bright future. And with that, I think my time is up, but I'm happy maybe to answer one question if I've got it.
Hello, we are so glad you're here today for OgdenCon, so welcome. It's been a great day, a beautiful afternoon, and so as Dean Brown mentioned, I'm Carrie McDaniel, and I'm going to talk to you about buology. We're actually the Department of Biology. It's what we used to be, but now we're the Department of Biological Sciences. So you can see that we've already had some change that's going on, kind of like what we saw in agriculture a few minutes ago. A lot of change through the years. I might make a motion at our next faculty meeting, though, that every October 31st, we just change it to buology. I'm kind of liking that. But anyway, so that's what I'm here to do. Now, the homecoming theme this year, if you haven't noticed already, when you go to the parades, when you go to the ball game, is Once Upon a Hill. And I love that because it reminds me that we're all a part of a story. That once upon a time, upon a hill at WKU, something happened. And so that's the celebration of what's going on this weekend with the marching bands and the parades. But if you're in this room, it's not only Once Upon a Hill, but it's down an Ogden pathway because we've all been touched by Ogden. So if you think about it, we started on a hill, we went down a pathway, and then out into the world to do wonderful things. Whether you're a farmer, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a teacher, somehow your story has been touched not only by the hill, but also by Ogden. So that's what I want to talk to you today about, is a little bit of story about once upon a time on a hill down an Ogden pathway. So to get ready for this, I started looking through the archives, kind of like Dr. Woosley did, looking at some of the pictures to see what I could remember about Western and about some things I'd want to talk about. And I came across this picture. And it's titled, An Unknown Woman with a Computer. That's its title. Well, I looked at that picture and I thought, I know who that is. That's me. I know the story behind that picture because that is me, because I was a student on this campus. I'm not going to tell you what year. You can look at the computer and get an idea. But during that time, the story behind this is I was a student worker for 4 years in the water quality lab, 4th floor of environmental science building. And I tested water, drinking water, wastewater, community water. And I worked with friends who were also in Ogden and staff members. And there were times we were asked to do some crazy things. I remember once we were brought some meat and we were asked to do bone fragment measurements. We didn't know how to do that, but we went to the basement of Kelly Thompson Hall in the library and found a standard operating procedure for it. And we figured out how to make the reagents, and we did it. And we gave the report on what those bone fragments were. And as a student, those experiences and that opportunity were life-changing in terms of giving me confidence, in terms of providing me a background for what I needed. And guess what? When I got to chemistry, I did well. I understood it. I understood why it was important and how it tied to the real world. So this is what I want to do. I want to start, not exactly from this point, but I want to go back just a little bit, and then we're going to move forward, starting with Once Upon a Time on a Hill at WKU down an Ogden path in the Department of Biology. Because I liked Western so much, I went off and got my PhD, and now I'm a faculty member in the Department of Biology. So back then, these were the characters of the story. So you might recognize some faces. These were the faculty that you might have met in the hallway. These are the people that you might have seen in the grocery store. You might have had them as teachers, but these were the characters that established the excellence, which was then the biology department. The setting was Thompson Complex North Wing. And that is where we are sitting now, is where North Wing was. I'm going to call it North Wing because I can, because I was here. Thompson Complex North Wing is its official name, but we'll just call it North Wing. And if you weren't here, I need to paint you a picture. You need to experience North Wing, because it wasn't just the sights and the sounds of North Wing, it was really the smells. North Wing had an odor all of its own. If you walked into North Wing, you knew exactly where you were. Any place in the world, you could drop North Wing and knew what it smelled like. And I can't describe it to you, and it's probably best that I don't, but it did. Another odor, if we were in North Wing right now, I think we would be about where the biology office is, if we were on the second floor. And so if you walked into the biology office, you would smell the mimeograph machine. So it wasn't a copy machine, it wasn't a printer, it was this blue purple ink, and you'd get your test paper and it would be wet from the mimeograph fluid. But oh, it smelled so good. And that's a smell that I remember. If you got into North Wing, you could go down to the scary hallway, or you could go into the big lounge, and it was bright, and it was light, and it was beautiful. And there were places where students could sit, and there were snack machines. The word that I think best describes it is groovy. It's a groovy kind of looking lounge. But it was a place where memories were made, where people could study, where they could transfer notes to each other, and it was part of the Ogden story on the Ogden path. And then I looked hard and long for this picture. I don't know who this fella is. If you all know him, let me know. I would love to know. I don't know what he's doing. That's not why I chose this picture. Does anybody see why I chose this picture? Those of you in North Wing, look in the background. See the glass pipes? Yes, Ogden North Wing had glass pipes that ran from the top of the building to the bottom. The only building I've ever been in that have seen that. I had to have a picture to prove that I'm not making this stuff up. And so you'd be sitting in biology lab, and chemistry was up above us. And so sometimes you'd be sitting in lab, and all of a sudden this unknown fluid of unknown colors would come down the glass pipe. And you could imagine as students, oh, that didn't catch our attention at all. And so we would have these myths about what that unknown fluid was, which were probably far greater than anything it was. But it's memories that we formed, things that I remember when I think about North Wing. But as wonderful as that groovy lounge was and those glass pipes in 2015, it was time to say goodbye. And I might have been the only person in Bowling Green that was sad, but you know, all hail to North Wing. But we've moved on, and we've got this building, which I have to admit is an upgrade. You know, it's just a little bit better when you look at this room. But this is the Ogden College Hall. And so the Department of Biology, or Biological Sciences as we are now, is housed somewhat in this building. So I encourage you, after this talk, when we're done, when Dean Brown is done, go downstairs, look at what we've got going on in the biology halls. But we're not just in one building like we were. We're also in Kelly Thompson Hall. Third floor is where you're going to find our offices. Snell Hall, the new Snell Hall, and then Engineering and Biological Sciences, which is EBS. So if you come looking for biology, you're not going to find us in one place. We're scattered all over. We've got lots of different things that are going on. So we've got the setting, the new setting for the next chapter, and this is the new building. So instead of having glass pipes and groovy lounges, we've got all of this beautiful art. We've got this atom, we've got the DNA light fixture that goes down the center and the sine wave in the floor. My personal favorite is the neurons that are at the end of this hallway, and I believe, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that they are blown glass from some of the volumetric flasks from the chemistry department. And so I love that because that gives the tie from the old to the new to understanding how students learn. So this is the setting, and this is the cast. So this is the new faculty for the Department of Biological Sciences, the ones that are here now. A fine-looking group, if I must say so myself. Our fearless leader on the end over here is Doug McElroy. So, you know, be nice to him. He has to deal with all of us. But it's a great group of colleagues and friends, and so we're going to move what we're doing, what's going on, in the world of biological sciences as the story continues. One of the things that has always been a part of the Department of Biology from the past is this excellence and a focus on student success. Everything we do, opportunities for students, innovations, collaborations with other people to have student success. Moving science forward through research, through active learning, through excellent pedagogies. These are things we've had in the past in the department and we are moving forward with in the future. So look for those themes as I talk about some of the things that are going on. If we look back, one of the things that biology was always proud of was our excellent facilities and our excellent equipment. So back in the day, it was unusual for a biology department, for a university our size, to have an electron microscope. But we had one. And this is Rod McCurry and some very dapper people that are using that electron microscope. And guess what? We still have electron microscopes. The technology is a lot better than it used to be, and it's really cool stuff, but we are still wanting that equipment that's going to help us to move forward. This is what you might think of as a microscope, you know, depending on how far back you go. This is a confocal microscope that we have. Little bit improvement, so much more we can see and do with that. And then Dr. Marquette over here is using what's called the Thunder, and so able to do research. And it's not just faculty who get to use these, but it's also the students who get to engage with this equipment and to do research and to learn with this. And who would have thought back in the day that we would have something called a biotechnology center? You know, interesting, Monsanto and the flavor saver tomato and all of that stuff. It all comes from biotechnology and the integration between our departments and Ogden College. So we have a localized place where anybody who's interested in biotechnology can share space and share material, and they can work and students can engage in learning the latest modern techniques. Sometimes we need equipment that we can't afford. We need stuff, if we're going to stay cutting edge, we need equipment that is expensive, that's not in the budget. And so fortunately, our faculty is outstanding, and we look and we seek for ways to fund things, and one way is through grants. So Simran Banga here on the right has written several instrumentation grants that has, with the NSF, the National Science Foundation, and NIH, the National Institutes of Health, and has allowed us to purchase a ChemDoc electrophoresis imaging system, shown here with Dr. Stewart, who also uses this. Students get to use this. It really helps in research and in classes. And then down here, the fluorescence activated cell sorting device, which is a really cool, modern, cutting edge tool that we have available to our students as well. Speaking of Dr. Banga, while we're here, not only does she write grants that fund instrumentation, but she just received an NIH grant to fund her research on Legionella pneumophila, which causes Legionnaire's disease. So yes, here at Western, we're doing research, looking for cures, looking for understanding of diseases, problems that are out there, and we are looking at how we can fundamentally address those issues. And in doing so, we're engaging students in that process as well. So I'm just going to highlight a couple of our faculty real quickly. Jason Stewart is working with telomere maintenance and protection. He has an NIH grant. Telomeres are the little caps on chromosomes. They seem to have something to do with aging. So it'd be really cool if we knew a lot about them, because then, you know, maybe that would help and assist us with aging. And so his grant funds his research, and it also funds students in his lab who are working on this. Dr. Hillary Katz, another rock star, received a prestigious EBSCOR Research Fellowship. She works on spinal cord regeneration with this little guy here, which is a sea lamprey. And so over here, you can see actual students from her lab. What you see on the screen is a lamprey spinal cord. So they are looking at this and looking at how this is going to impact medicine possibly in the future. And then Dr. Joe Marquette looks at cell shape and how this is regulated in yeast. And he has also received NIH funding. So here you can see him using the Thunder microscope. And I love this picture because it shows him with his students because they're at a conference. So not only are students working in the lab, but they're presenting their results. They're sharing their findings with colleagues, moving science forward as we've always done. On a different vein, we've got Steve Husky here. This is the boo part of the talk. So boo, is it scary? It's not scary, it's exciting, Because if we use things like flesh-eating beetles, they eat the flesh off these organisms, and we can see the bones, and we can have students that can put these back together and understand how does their form, how does their shape impact how they function. And students love this. They love it. Dr. Natalie Mountjoy is working in the field with the Goose Creek Restoration Project. So when we have real problems in the real world, we can go out in the field and we can help solve those. And that's just a few. I can't mention everybody. I could, but you all would be here for a long time. So this is some other of our wonderful faculty and some of the organisms that they work with. So I encourage you to get on our website and read more about these and take an interest in what's going on in the Department of Biological Sciences. In addition to providing research opportunities, we've always had clubs in the department. So this is Tri Beta. I think this is about in the 70s. You might recognize some faces in there. And we still have student clubs. We still want to engage students. We want them to work with mentors and to learn about their chosen profession. And so this is at the Ice Cream Social with the Pre-Physical Therapy Club. We have study abroad opportunities. That's something I didn't see so much when I was a student. Sometimes somebody would go abroad, but now it's just like regular. Down here with Dr. Phillips in Costa Rica, South America, these are just some of the places that students can study abroad and talk about an experience you're going to remember on your Ogden journey to be able to go to another country and experience learning there. Teaching has always been a very important part. How do we teach students, give them the skills that they need to know? So we've always had field courses where we don't just do it in the classroom, where we'll actually take them out in the real world, where they can gather specimens and make measurements. And we still have field courses. But now we have the Green River Preserve. This is a place that Western owns, that the biology department manages, where we can take students, we can do research. We're going to manage the conservation of this area. And so this is one of our crown jewels that we have in the department that is that offers opportunities for students. Lab courses. Not only do we have field courses, but we have lab courses. You know that you're in North Wing here. How do you know? Look in the back. See those glass tubes, those glass pipes? Yep, telling you the truth, they existed. And we still have lab classes, but now our facilities have our state-of-the-art. We're going to have nice lab benches. We're going to have good equipment and things that students need. One of the things we've tried to do is introduce more inquiry and science process into our classes because we take pedagogy seriously. How can we help students learn? And so we want to make sure that students leave our department understanding how science works and the process of science and be able to solve problems. So one class that I think was highlighted yesterday was Genome Discovery, where students can actually gather dirt from wherever they want to, at home, from their flower pots, from the yard out here in Ogden. And they isolate bacteriophage, which are little viruses, from those. And sometimes it doesn't work, so they have to do it again and again, which is what real science looks like. If they can get it isolated and grown, then they can look at it with the electron microscope. Remember the electron microscope we were talking about? This is an actual student picture where they've looked at their bacteriophage with that. And then they run genetics on it using the Biotechnology Center. And if they find out it's a brand new phage, they get to name it and put it in the gene bank. That's something you remember. That's pretty cool. And this is happening in classes. Anatomy and physiology, I got to talk about it. This is the area, this is where I teach. It's part of our pre-health curriculum. Anybody who's going to go into any type of pre-health needs to have anatomy and physiology. So we need to learn the bones and the muscles, and here they are. You can see bones haven't changed a whole lot. Muscles haven't changed a whole lot. But how we teach has changed a lot because we've put careful consideration into this. So how do you make something like memorizing the name of a bone or a muscle engaging and interesting? Well, let me give you some idea. Notice that we've been looking in books. Now if you look at what we're looking at, it's an iPad. Yeah, I did that on purpose. Because we are digital. Our entire class is digital. We use digital textbooks, we use simulations, we use lots of digital material, which is interactive for our students and helps them to learn. But we don't want it to all be digital because learning is engaging and hands-on. So here you can see that we've adopted the anatomy and clay system, where we build muscles on a 15-inch mannequin. So students have to think about what's the size of the muscle or the organ, what's the shape of it, where does it belong, where does it articulate? And so it gets them, even for things that are normally memorizing, to think about with higher order of thinking. This is a simulation where we have a virtual cadaver, and they have this at their fingertips. So they can, in their classroom, they can pull up their their dorm room, their virtual cadaver, and look at what an actual human body looks like and compare it with the models that we've used in lab. And then we have been gifted a Sendaver. She's kind of famous. Her name is Usha. What I mean by a Sendaver is that she is a 3D printed cadaver. She's not real, which makes it great because she lasts. We have to take care of her, but students have the opportunity to work with this model in a lab to touch and feel a life-size model of what the human body looks like as they learn human anatomy and physiology. So a lot has changed in how we teach. One of the other things that's always been important is how do we collaborate with people outside of the university? Because that's an important part of this. It's not just staying in the university, although we collaborate with each other, but how do we reach out with other entities that can help us? And so a great story is the National STEM Scholar Program that is collaborated, began with the National Stem Cell Foundation. And I'm a part of this, and so that's one of the reasons I chose this to highlight. But this is a foundation, it's a nonprofit, and they fund research in regenerative medicine. Things like multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease. And so that's what they do, trying to cure these diseases. Well, in trying to cure the diseases, they went out and talked to the labs and said, how can we help you? What else can we do? We're already funding your labs. And they said, we need more scientists. Well, that's a big ask. So they started researching and trying to figure out how do we get more scientists, and learned that where students lose interest in science is in middle school. So they came to the Gatton Academy and Center for Gifted, who came to Ogden College, me, and another one from physics and education, and we formed this collaboration, this network, where we bring in 10 students from across, 10 teachers, middle school science teachers from across the United States for professional development, and show them innovative ways to teach science, to make it interesting and exciting. And we fund them to take back a challenge project. So in their classroom, they get money to buy equipment and supplies so that their students can gather data, make predictions, and do the science process. We're in our 10th year. We've had 100 scholars, 100 different challenge projects, and then these teachers get to present those at the National Science Teacher Association meeting, NSTA, 100 presentations, affecting tens of thousands of students over the years. So hopefully it's making an impact. Our collaborator, our sponsor, is so excited and so wanting us to make children excited about science that they've actually, in addition to this, funded 4 payloads above Blue Origin's New Shepard spacecraft. So we have had 4 different payloads go into space. So part of this is making it middle school friendly, having an on-Earth component of this that students can be involved in, and they can compare their data with what we find out in space. So we've actually, this is an engineering student, so another one of our Ogden graduates. He's from physics and education, and then of course I'm from, today it's zoology, but biological sciences. And we have done this, the same spacecraft that Star Trek guy, William Shatner went on. That's what our payload went on, and that's exciting. So I think back to when I was in the water lab as a student and going down my Ogden path, and then coming back as a faculty member in biology. Who would have thought that I could add, I use it loosely, I know, rocket scientist to my resume. But if you want to call me rocket scientist, I will answer to that. Just in the last couple little thoughts, and then we'll close up here. Another thing that we are doing to be really student focused is, since biology is such a big umbrella, there are so many opportunities in it, we started some new concentrations so that a student who's interested in doing a health career can do a pre-medical health professions concentration or an applied microbiology profession concentration. And here they take classes, they're involved in clubs, and it puts them in an area that's going to point them towards success in their chosen career. Because we really want them to think about what they look like in the future as a scientist. What does their Ogden pathway look like when they leave here and they go out and do great things in the world? Maybe they can be a rocket scientist. So here we are on a hill at WKU, down an Ogden path, and here we are in the biology truck. You know, we're trucking down the path. And this is not going to end. The story doesn't end here because we're going for another 60, 120 years. But we want everybody to be a part of our journey. We want you to jump on the truck. And if you don't want to jump on the truck, maybe you can pump us up, give us a little fuel. So maybe something like you've got a place where you can support an intern. We've got these new concentrations and we want them to have real life experiences. So if you have a place where you can support an intern, that would be great. Or come talk to one of our clubs. We would love to hear about what you're doing. Or maybe you've got resources that could help meet some of these needs that we have in terms of equipment to fill those budgetary gaps. Or maybe you just have a granddaughter or a grandson or a neighbor or a friend who doesn't know what they want to be when they grow up. And you can share your Ogden story and you can tell them that biology is a great place to be. Come check us out. We'll show you around and hopefully they'll have their own Ogden story. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the celebration, and happy birthday, Ogden College.
Wow. So I hope you have had as good a time today as I have. I not only enjoyed the talks, I learned a lot. Before I say anything else, I want to acknowledge the Dean's office staff. They made this event possible, and they made it work smoothly. I especially want to call out Miss Lacey Bell and Miss Cheryl Hagan for an incredible amount of effort they did in bringing this to fruition. So let's give them a hand. I want to give you just my own quick history lesson. I'm not a long timer here, unlike a lot of our speakers today, but I did look back at some of the history of Ogden College. And I found that when Ogden was formed as a college in Western Kentucky University in 1966, that there was a different Ogden Hall. We're in Ogden College Hall. There was an Ogden Hall, and it was an old Victorian house, the original building of Ogden College. In that year in which we became a new college of the university, the house disappeared and was replaced by what we now affectionately call KTH, Kelly Thompson Hall, and the planetarium. At that time, the buildings that composed Ogden Hall were Snell Hall in the upper right-hand corner, KTH in the planetarium in the left, as I just said, College Heights Hall down in the lower left corner, the Industrial Education Building in the lower right-hand corner, and as we've heard, North Wing, where we stand now, or where we sit now. We added Environmental Science and Technology in the 70s, as well as the Agricultural Research and Education Center. Old Snell Hall went away, and soon after came Engineering and Biological Sciences, and the new Snell Hall. And then 2015, down came North Wing, and in 2017, up rose where we are now, Ogden College Hall, the world's first WELL Gold certified laboratory building. So you're sitting in a building that was designed for student comfort and student studying, to be a place where you can be productive and learn optimally. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of history. I know I enjoyed finding it out for myself. Now I want to say once again, congratulations to all of our speakers. I think this was a wonderful lineup, and I want to thank them all. So the thing that's really lucky about being Dean of Ogden College is I have all these really talented people I could select to speak today. The unfortunate thing is there's so many I have to choose. I could have filled up several days worth of talks with the talent that we have here in the college. We're full of gifted individuals, each with interesting and important things to say. What you've seen is just a selection, 4 speakers. I'll remind you that we have 8 departments: agriculture and food sciences, biological sciences, as you've just heard, chemistry and biochemistry, earth, environmental and atmospheric sciences, mathematics, physics and astronomy, psychological sciences, and the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. We also have a joint program with the College of Education and Behavioral Science called SkyTeach. What's great about them is that they talk to each other. So even though they are different departments and schools, they're integrated, they're collaborative. And that works out both for our faculty and for our students. The successes of our faculty have been incredible. Now, I did this on purpose. I don't want you to try to read that. You will hurt your eyes. I started typing some of the accomplishments of our faculty just since I've been here, 4 years. I'm not going to read them all to you. I'm going to pull a few out. Just last year, Zach Soriano from EEAS won WKU's first ever NSF Career Award. This is the most prestigious award given to faculty by the National Science Foundation. The first one at WKU, only the 3rd one in the 30-some year history of the award at a regional comprehensive. Hillary Katz, as we heard earlier, won the NSF EPSCoR Research Fellowship. Only 24 of those are given out in a year in the United States. Only 24. And one's right here on the Hill. Now, I don't know if you noticed her at lunchtime. She was dressed as a witch. I'm not going to say whether that had anything to do with conjuring up that award. Josh Durkee, who you heard earlier today, was named the inaugural Conference USA Professor of the Year. As I go down the list, you'll see numerous names of our staff who've won the Outstanding Staff Award, the Christopher Ware Staff Star Award. You'll see that our faculty, who are outstanding in our college, are also outstanding in the university and recognized as such. We've had 3 university distinguished professors in the last 4 years. The list goes on and on. Our faculty are writing more high-quality grants. Even in uncertain times, they are getting grants. They're becoming more and more successful at it. We are passing accreditation reviews. Our faculty are very successful. Now, people tell me when I'm talking to a group that has a lot of alumni, I shouldn't focus on the faculty successes. But I want to tell you, because they say, they care about the students and the student success. Well, that's right. And the point to remember here is that faculty success and student success are symbiotic. When our faculty are successful, they bring grants that allow us to have the incredible equipment that you saw that our students can work on. It gives our students opportunities to travel, as you saw, to conferences, to do research in incredible places. So our faculty success breeds student success. And boy, do we have student success. Now, you saw some of the students earlier today. Weren't they impressive? You've heard about how our students are involved, and hopefully you got a chance to talk to students at lunchtime. I love this. In the past 3 years, every year in the past 3 years, we've had Goldwater winners. The Goldwater Scholarship is the most prestigious student scholarship in the U.S. for STEM fields. The past 2 years in a row, we've tied for the top number of Goldwaters in the state. And we tied UK. Now, just to point out, for your reference, UK has 3 times our student body and 20 times our budget. Think about that. And we're with them. Talk about a return on investment. The education in Ogden College serves students well. We've had students winning the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Award, our first Udall Scholar in 15 years. So many students who've won Boren scholarships, Gilman's, Fulbrights, Freeman Asian Scholarship, the German DAAD RISE program, critical language scholarships. So many, I couldn't put them all on one page. Students are succeeding. Our students present, on average, about 200 research presentations at the university's Student Scholar Showcase in the spring. Almost 2/3 of all of the student presentations in the university. Approximately 30 students are presenting in a typical year at national and international conferences. And I can go on and on. Our students are published, they're authors. They're not only successful as individuals, they're successful as groups. You've heard about our American Society of Civil Engineers, incredible things that they're doing. Named #1 chapter this past year in the world. Not just in Kentucky, not just in Bowling Green, not just in the US, in the world. Here, on the Hill. Our meteorology club a year or two ago was ranked #1 in the US, maybe still is. Our other teams who compete are climbing. Our agricultural education club was named the reserve champs in National Ag Teaching Competition 2 years in a row now. The success is amazing. Each year, we've had a thing called the annual Ice Cream Social. It's an event where students get to find out about all the clubs that we have in Ogden College. They connect. They build a network. It's one of the many initiatives that we're using to improve student retention and help them persist to their degree, because we know the degree makes a difference. Look at these statistics from WKU. If I had gone 1 year prior on the left-hand side to fall 17, we would have been below 70% in first-year retention of students. We're now nuzzling right up against 80%, up there with the best, the most expensive universities. That's a source of pride for me. One of the things we do is living learning communities, and we have 4 incredible living learning communities in Ogden College. And you can see that that strategy has helped increase graduation rates. It increases retention rates. We're doing things to make sure students not only get a great education, that they finish the education and reap the benefits. Now, our college budget is a tight one. You know as well as I do that over the last 20 years, states have not been sending as much money to universities. if you look at the university budget based on our size and the things we're doing, it's gone up considerably over 20 years. But in inflation-adjusted dollars, the state contribution has been essentially flat or slightly falling. And so we're doing more with less. What I'm showing you here is the various departments and areas where we allocate budget. The blue represents personnel, what we pay people to keep our people here, to keep our people interacting with our students. The green is what we have for operations. Now, the farm has to have a lot of operational costs. You can't operate a farm without operational money. The dean's office helps pay for a lot of the maintenance on the big, beautiful equipment that you've seen. ARTPs are centers for research, and they also have high operational costs. What may be harder to see is the operational budget on each of our departments. What that implies is that though we continue to pay our people to be there for our students, we have less than we used to for things like faculty travel, for conferences, for research projects that don't yet have national funding. And the amazing thing is, all the incredible things that we've talked about today that have gone on, our faculty are doing even though they face these constraints. So faculty, thank you. And so, as I look forward in Ogden, my vision is that Ogden College of Science and Engineering will be known as a home of opportunity, with key recognized specialties that set it apart and make it a preferred destination for hands-on, authentic learning in a variety of STEM fields. Now, at this point, I haven't really said a lot because that's what we do. We will be home to at least one internationally recognized leading academic program, one nationally recognized program, and one regionally recognized program, at least. And that's where we start to see the change, because our story is going to get out. And I know our story is going to get out because you are here. You are part of passing along the story. Let people know what great programs we have. When you meet a student, tell them how wonderful it is in Ogden College. Our faculty and students will continue to be recognized with prestigious awards. And I'm going to make a prediction, going to go out on a limb. We will, by the mid-century, have a Rhodes. There's my prediction. Ogden College will be a true beacon on the hill that prepares future leaders and innovators. There's not a lot here that changes the story of Ogden. This is a vision for an Ogden that takes the threads that have been woven over time and continues to weave a strong braid to create a beautiful tapestry of a college that is successful. As a place of opportunity, we offer authentic experiences. Students who are not just in the classroom, but are in the laboratories, in the fields, on the farm, doing the things that apply the knowledge so that they really understand what they've gotten. Hands-on, project-based, student-centric research. The research is great. It helps build human knowledge. But here, it also helps train students to be the leaders of tomorrow. We will be a beacon on the hill with programs that serve our community. We test the water for Bowling Green and surrounding communities. We protect against violent weather and other forms of disaster. We help teach the young. We feed our region. We're all about our community. The other thing that sets the vision apart is that we're going to have some identifiable, unique, distinct areas of specialization. So that people living in New York City or living in Oregon or wherever you want will say, oh, you know where you want to go for that? It's WKU. Because it happens. My daughter experienced it. It's long before I came to WKU, and she heard about all across the country some WKU programs. We are building that. We are building that big and better. We are already leaders in agriculture and the environment, smart industry, applied sciences, pre-health. We're adding data science as an underpinning for all of it because each of these areas critically links with data science. And we're building a new disaster science program that, as you saw, combines so many specializations so that every one of our majors, every one of our departments has a way to connect with this program and build an incredibly robust and incredibly needed program. Because if you open a newspaper today, okay, I know no one actually opens a newspaper, right? If you scroll to a newspaper today, you're always reading about some natural disaster or some man-made disaster. And if there's something that we're going to need to know about in the future, how to protect our soils, our farms, how to protect our planet, how people cope, it's going to somehow revolve around disaster science. And we have the jump. And so we will be known as the place you want to go for that is WKU. That doesn't mean we'll lose anything that we already do. It means that we will become stronger and more recognized. We'll tell that story. So, how can you be part of the story? How can you be woven into the fabric? Well, by interacting with our departments, advisory boards, interacting with our students as mentors, guest speakers, or by taking part in the Ogden Initiative. I'll tell you what that is in just 1 second. So, just so you know, in about a week, we'll send you a follow-up note, and we'll ask you if you would like to become involved. I hope there's some way in which you will want to reach out to the current generation in Ogden so that together we build the future generations for Ogden. It involves your time, your talent, your treasures. Interacting with the departments, that involves your time and your talent. Interacting with our students also. The Ogden Initiative is an opportunity to share with us through treasure. And so, today I'm announcing, with a big fanfare, you can imagine it, the Ogden Initiative. I'm setting a goal on some fundraising, and it's going to be fundraising not for things that we need for the long term. We want to build our endowments. We want endowed faculty positions and research assistant, graduate assistant positions. But what I'm looking for now is we want to build up our Fund for Excellence, which is a fund that allows us to quickly respond to any need that arises, be it a faculty member who needs to go to a conference, a student who needs to travel for research, some piece of equipment that will make a big difference. So I don't believe in doing anything small. All right, you could probably tell by the way I get excited up here. I'm going to set a challenge, and I'm going to put a 3-year timeline on it. And that challenge is for us to reach a $500,000 goal for the Fund for Excellence, because that will allow us to make a difference for our faculty, who will make a difference for our students. So when you saw the students up here this morning presenting, or when you see the students sitting with our meteorology and disaster science group, we're going to make a difference for them. I'm personally committed to this goal, and I'm going to continue to be a big donor. If that's not the thing for you, please consider. Could you mentor a student? Could you meet with a student group? Could you serve on an advisory committee? We are relaunching the Ogden Advisory Council, and this will be our start. I think the future is bright for Ogden College, but the future can't be spelled without you. So I appreciate your being here today. I've had an incredible time. I learned so much. I was engaged. I was riveted. Our speakers, thank you. Our students, thank you. And all of our visitors here today, thank you for being with us. And so with this, I wish you a happy homecoming. And I say the thing that magically ends all meetings at Western Kentucky: go Tops!